is the Pizza and Hummus Podcast.
So why would you listen to the Pizza and Hummus Podcast?
Am I right, bada bing?
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I laughed way too hard again. That's the worst thing ever.
And welcome back to the Pizza and Hummus Podcast.
Hey, we're here.
So we try to make this to a video episode, but our cameras died. So we're learning. It's a learning process.
Every day's a classroom, I think.
Every day's a classroom, and but we are going to talk about some things that we learned about ourselves.
Yeah, we took the Myers-Briggs test on 16personalities.com.
Yep.
And we kind of go through that. So hopefully you learn something about us and about yourself.
Yeah. Hopefully, you can go on it. It's a free test. We're not sponsored by it or anything, but yeah, you kind of learn, why do these guys think the way they do? Oh, that's why they're crazy.
Right.
So, we're going to talk about our craziness right now. We specifically use the 16, is it 16%?
Yeah,
the 16 personalities, which they say is the Myers-Briggs personality assessment stuff, but it's got cool little characters. I love the little characters, by the way.
Like the pictures of them? Yeah.
The pictures of them.
Because you collect those pops things. It's like the same thing. They're just animated pops.
That's true. That's true. Adam Ruins Everything. He kind of like debunked some of the stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's saying like, they don't really know what they're talking about. Blah, blah, blah. I mean.
But it's so accurate to me.
But it's so accurate. It's so correct. My opinion is that it might not be 100% accurate, because I had some people take this and I go, you're probably lying, because everything that this says about you is incorrect. You're actually the opposite.
Right.
So it's like, okay, are you answering these questions because that's how you actually think of yourself? Is it how you want to feel like you are?
I feel like I noticed there was some bias in knowing what I got the first time. And I was like, I got to try to not remember. Like it was a tough thing to be like, how do I actually feel about this? You know what I mean? Whereas how do I want to be portrayed?
Not to mention, there's certain questions that you're looking at and you go, okay, like you get kind of more so like a depends. Like,
yeah,
I'm a very social person. Well, if I'm around people that I don't like or I don't really know, I'm not that social. But if I'm around like my best friends, I'm super social to them. I don't shut up. You know what I mean? So it's like, but all it says is I am very social. Yeah. So it's like, okay. And then does it get into like, do I feel like I'm social? Or is someone going to come up to me and be like, yeah, dude, you're like the most unsocial person. Like, you're not social at all.
Right.
But you think that you're social, so that.
Or like, what day of the week is it that today I'm feeling pretty secluded and. Yeah.
Like when you take the test, are you like, don't take it when you're hungry.
Make sure you've eaten.
Like, make sure you're not too tired. Make sure you don't like the room is clear and that you don't have anything. So that way you can actually get more into like how you feel. Versus like, if you're Nancy and you're a little hungry or you got noise and stuff going on.
I hate more things when I'm
You start
hungry.
hating more things. Yeah. Well, which what we learned from when we used to do the podcast at night.
Yeah.
We were getting more like our rants were more like enraged.
I've lived a whole day.
Yeah.
And I'm uncaffeinated.
Yes. And you're exhausted. Whereas in the morning, we found out cup of coffee, all of a sudden we're more open to things and we're a lot happier. So there's a bunch of different factors, I think, that can affect this. But I think if you take it honestly and you try to be very critical of yourself, it kind of gives you at least a range. You want to know, to be honest, the biggest thing that got out of me, and this is kind of whatever, is I went, oh, not everyone thinks like I do.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds so dumb, but that was so true.
That's something you got to remember. Like most things when I'm like, even at the end of the day, when I'm like ranting about something at the end of the day, I'll go like, and then I'm like finished a 30-minute rant and I'll sit back and I go, yeah, most people don't think like me.
Yeah. Like it's, and this might make sense when I talk a little bit more about my personality, but sometimes I feel as if, and this is going to sound whatever, but sometimes I feel as if people like, just do the thing. Just like, why don't you think exactly like this? Like, it makes so much sense to me, because of my experiences and everything I've gone through. Why doesn't everyone think this way?
Do the right way.
Yeah, do it the right way. There's this way, but then there's the right way to do it.
Which causes so much more frustration.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like that thought of, man, a lot of people don't think like me. to no fault of their own, be like, oh, that's why he didn't do it that way, the right way.
Yeah. The correct way.
Yeah. He could have done it, but he didn't stand a chance.
In a way, this was very humbling for me because I went through and I was like, oh, like there's 16 personalities. At least that's what this thing says. So, there's 15 other personalities that people can have. And then I even took this with my family and nobody had the same exact personality as me. A couple of them had similar personalities that we can kind of tell, but no, I was the only one that was this type of personality. And it, to me, in a way, it was humbling because I was like, oh, like I can't blame people because they think their personality is a little bit different. They think a little different. So even if this is incorrect, the most thing I think that got out of me was, oh, not everyone thinks this way. Because I'll read some of this stuff with me and I go, yeah, doesn't everyone think that? It's like, no.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too, is there's this funny it's a little thing. It's like the worst thing about understanding psychology is that everyone's reason for doing everything and you can't be mad at anyone anymore.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, that's it. Like, that's something I'm super interested in is like people, you didn't stand a chance not to do that. In a way, to some degree or another, which I think is funny, but also it makes things a lot less stressful or getting mad at people for like all you have to do is yield. Yeah. Why aren't you yielding?
Yeah. And then you find out, oh, he doesn't have any brakes.
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't have any. I'm just kind of coasting until I run out of gas. I don't know. I wish you knew my whole story. I have no brakes.
Only you knew my time when I was at the repair shop and they were like, yeah, you should have got brakes for this.
Coast onto the next bell tire. They got brakes.
Just keep on going, baby. So there's the 16 personalities and it's a free test that you can take. So we're not sponsored by these people. We're not doing any stuff like that yet. So I encourage everyone to go to, like 16personalities.com and just kind of get a little bit more background because I don't think we would have enough time, nor should we have enough time to explain every single other personality. But I think it's fun that we figured out ours and figured out that ours are different. Yeah. Surprise. So I figured we can kind of talk about that.
What'd you get? Who are you?
Okay, so I am the architect.
Okay, I am the advocate.
Okay.
What is yours? What is your 4 letters?
INTJ.
We're only different on F. I mean, I'm F instead of T, INFJ.
So the 5 letters refer to specific traits, with certain trait combinations forming various types and type groups. So with each of the personality aspects from just the letters of that, the first one is how we interact with our surroundings. So the I is introverted. That's what we are. Introverted individuals. We prefer solitary activities. We can get exhausted by social interaction. We tend to be quite sensitive to external stimulation like sight, sound, smells in general. And then, or you can have E, which is your extroverted. So they love being socialized. They tend to be more enthusiastic, more easily excited than introverts. So you and I were both introverted, as we've talked about in introverts versus extroverts. Yeah. So that's good. The second one determines it's called energy. It's how we see the world. So you can have S for your observant. So you're highly practical, pragmatic, down to earth, tend to have strong habits, focus on what is happening or is already happening or has already happened. We have the N, which stands for intuitive. So we're very imaginative, open-minded, and curious. We prefer novelty over stability and focus on hitting meanings and future possibilities. Which I feel like kind of explains this podcast. Why do things work?
Why are things the way they are?
The third letter is nature. So was this the one that we got different?
I'm feeling your thinking.
Okay, yeah. So this aspect determines how we make decisions and cope with emotion. So I got thinking. So I focus on objectivity and rationality. I prioritize logic over emotions. I tend to hide my feelings. I see efficiency as more important than cooperation. Okay. So as long as stuff's getting done and it's getting done the right way, the right way,
go figure.
That's better than just being nice to people. Which kind of makes sense, I think, just in terms of if you're introverted, you don't if you don't like a lot of, social type of stuff, it kind of makes sense that you're more towards okay, I just want to let's get the thing done and go home.
I think it would go with being introverted. What in your introverted world is all of that what is that all focused on? Like I'm introverted, so I'm just aware and I'm just thinking about whatever's happening. So are you caught up in the, okay, well that's not getting done right there. Okay, so they could be doing it that way. Okay, so let's just get it done. And then, or is it, and I don't even know what the definition for feeling is.
Okay, yeah. So it says feeling individuals are sensitive and emotionally expressive. They are more empathetic and less competitive than thinking types and focus on social harmony and cooperation. So, I mean, when you think of the words like sensitive and emotionally expressive, that can be that, that's, I'm not that sensitive, but I think what they're talking about is they're more, they understand what more people are going through versus my type of personality of like, just do it. Why is everyone doing it? Whereas I feel like maybe the feeling types are more kind of like, well, you don't understand the full story.
Yeah,
you don't understand.
I feel like, yeah, you need the full story. And I feel like I'm always like trying to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Almost always. Because, then no one's mad.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the beautiful thing, even with like our group chat that we have with us and Jared is like, I'll shoot something, Jared will do the opposite, or Jared will do something, I'll do the opposite, and you try to stay like neutral of like, okay, it's just like the trinity of views. Mm-hmm. You got to take this into consideration, you got to take that into consideration, like in order to get a whole thing. And I think that's good. I think it's good because if we were all the same, it'd be a cult.
Yeah, it would be a cult. It'd be a
cult, and that's not good.
No challenge.
And then the fourth one is tactics. So it reflects our approach to work, planning, and decision making. Now, were we both the same?
I'm J.
Yeah. So we're both J.
Is that judgment?
Yep, judging. So we judging individuals as are decisive, thorough, and highly organized. They value clarity, predictability, and closure. We prefer structure and planning to spontaneity, which is interesting because like we're open-minded and creative, but at the same time, we want to have some sort of order.
We want the plan. We want the order. Yeah.
We want the order. Like after we've brainstormed, okay, now we got to have an order. And then the other one is prospective individuals. So they're very good at improvising and spotting opportunities. They tend to be flexible, relaxed, nonconformists who prefer keeping their options open. So yeah, I mean, and that's the part that's interesting too, because we've talked about this even in the introverts, extroverts, where it's like everyone's a little bit of everything. So it's like, we like to be open-minded. We like to be creative with new ideas. But at the same time, we also enjoy order too. So it really depends.
I think that's my favorite. I think the most significant to me, at least from this, is I think that's what makes this. I mean, all of them are unique, but for me personally, makes it unique is the balance between daydreaming, but then taking those daydreams and I want to make a plan with it.
Yeah.
And I need both of those. And I think that's a unique thing.
And not to mention, it's one of those quizzes and types where it's not just like, do you like to color? Yeah, you're creative.
Right.
Do you not like to color? I don't like to color, but I like to paint and write music. You're not creative. It's like this creative. Actually takes in a little bit more of, here's some of the traits and things that kind of apply to you.
Yeah, it kind of takes in the bigger picture of the behind the scenes as opposed to like as if this was a BuzzFeed article.
The last one is identity. The identity aspect underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and in our decisions. So what did you get?
T.
Okay, so you are T and I'm A. So that's actually kind of interesting. So then we both got something different. So A is assertive. Assertive individuals are self-assured, even-tempered, and resistant to stress. That's kind of a stretch for me. They refuse to worry too much and do not push themselves too hard when it comes to achieving goals. I worry a lot. So I may have done this, but I will say this though. When it comes to my ideas and how I think, and as you can probably tell from when you talk to me and stuff like that, I'm very confident. I'm like, no, this is it. Like, no, and
you're definitely assertive in that way.
Yeah, I'm assertive in that way.
The worry part, probably not.
No, like I get worried about things, but when it comes to the idea of ideas and abilities, I'm like, this is 100% correct.
Yeah.
I've done the research. You can't change my mind.
Yeah.
And it's not a good thing, but it's just, I feel like that's what I think I can work with. Yeah.
I feel like, unrelated to this, but maybe similar, is something that I noticed that I do a lot is, or just about me in general, like my whole life is, I don't I don't just like for certain things, like I don't just like, as far as like knowing something really well, knowing about something really well, there's very few things. Not as like a diss towards me, but like I know a little bit about a lot of things, and then a lot about very, 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 very few things, and it's very hard for me to learn about something that I'm not interested in. When I like something, it becomes an obsessive thing, and I don't really have time for other things. So when I say that's how I'm tying this. When I say a fact about something in my head, and it's about one of those 3 things I know a lot about, pretty self-assured that this is what this is. You know what I mean?
Well, and plus too, it says here, because it kind of makes sense. So you got T, so it's turbulent. Turbulent individuals are self-conscious and sensitive to stress, which I think, I mean, I feel like I'm sensitive to stress too, but anyways, but I like this part. They're likely to experience a wide range of emotions and to be success-driven, perfectionists, and eager to improve. Yeah. So I feel like when it comes to you, you're saying, you know, I don't have room in my brain for this, but the stuff I do have room in my brain for needs to be.
It's all I can think about.
It's all I can think about. Yeah. It's all I'm doing. It's, you know, I'm constantly working on this. I mean, from, you know, even from like your weightlifting and all that, I mean, you have that, once you have that drive, you're like, I remember when you were first doing the weightlifting, well, not weightlifting competitions, but you were doing the bodybuilding competitions. You were like, I already have room for my trophy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not so much like it's a cocky thing, but it's like, I'm so driven, like I'm making it real. Yeah. I'm making it real, and I'm just creating the path to go there versus like I hope everything turns out well. I hope it's kind of good.
I definitely feel that way about a lot of things I hope it goes well. And you know, if it doesn't, okay. But then there are a few things where it is that turbulent.
So you have, for your role, because now it's roles, your role is diplomat.
Diplomat. That sounds about right.
So diplomats focus on empathy and cooperation, shining in diplomacy and counseling. People belonging in this type of group are cooperative and imaginative, often playing the role of harmonizers in their workplace or social circles. I think being the neutral kind of works.
That's kind of like what were the mixture of the N and the J.
Yeah, these traits make diplomats warm, empathetic, and influential individuals, but also cause issues when there is need to rely exclusively on cold rationality or make difficult decisions.
Yeah.
I'm analyst. For analysts, these personality types embrace rationality and impartiality, excelling in intellectual debates and scientific or technological fields. They are fiercely independent, open-minded, strong-willed, and imaginative, approaching many things from a utilitarian perspective and being far more interested in what works than what satisfies everybody.
Here we go.
So, makes sense.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of
these traits make analysts excellent strategic thinkers, but also cause difficulties when it comes to social or romantic pursuits, which, you know, you got to give my wife credit for putting up with me sometimes because there's so many times where it's like, and it's when I first started doing this, and it's like, yeah, like, you know, it's very like you think rationally and you put logic and you get rid of emotions. But then I talk to my wife and she's like, why are you so like heartless on this, that? I'm like, because this thing works. You gotta do X. You do this and it works.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, it don't work. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care what your mom did or what your dad did or what happened to your dog. Like, do the thing. Get a job.
Go on.
Get a job.
Take off.
There's also other ones, and there's a lot of them. So I have everyone else read those, but we'll go on to strategies, which is the next part. So if you want to click on your thing.
Strategies. Constant improvement.
Constant improvement. So for constant improvement, constant improvers are quiet, individualistic people. They tend to be perfectionists and success-driven, often spending a lot of time and effort making sure that the result of their work is the best it can be. As the name says, constant improvers are high-achieving individuals dedicated to their craft. However, they also tend to worry too much about their performance. So
yeah, we get it. I worry and I'm goal-driven. Cool.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to be mad.
I am confident individualism. So confident individualists prefer doing things alone, choosing to rely on their own skills and instincts as opposed to seeking contact with other people. They know what they're good at and have high self-confidence. These personality types firmly believe that personal responsibility and trust in yourself are very important values. Confident individualists do not pay much attention to other people's opinions and prefer to rely on themselves. So that was what I remember that was one of the things that I read and I go, no one else thinks like that? Like,
that's so funny.
You know what I mean? Like that was one of the things I was like, yeah, you're born in this world alone. You die alone. Figure it out. Like, you know, like I'd say like, wait, people don't think that way. And then my part of my brain, which always has to be like right, is thinking, well, that's the problem.
See,
no, it thinks like
it
that.
thinks this way. It's literally a paradox of where it'll never stop.
Yeah. I'm just the worst human being.
That's so funny. No, I think it's really interesting how, I mean, obviously this is how it's set up, but how there's reoccurring themes that are saying the same thing, which I think is super interesting and just to me gives it a little more validity to where it's like, yeah, in this aspect, you're A and then you're B. And then we're like, yeah, because when you put those together, that makes C. And then you read the next thing, it's like, yeah, you're C. And you're like, I just said that.
Yeah, I figured it out.
I figured it out before you did.
And and I hope that as we take this, we can say, like I said, like, well, I actually do get stressed or I get worried about things, stuff like that. But like, instead of, oh, the result says I'm this, and then we try to justify why we are that. When, kind of equivalent. You've done this joke about like when your aunt that you never see buys you something for Christmas, and you have to think of ways to buy it, the ways to use, like, oh, I can't wait to use these pair of shoes that don't fit me, I can
please the other
how I
person.
like to run. Jimmy knows I like to run. Thank you.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I'm hoping that we don't do that, but it might happen. So
well, I mean, yeah, you try to fit into it because human beings cannot resist belonging to a group or a category.
Tribalism.
I just want to belong.
Yeah,
and
but you don't want to be labeled. You want to label it yourself.
You want to label yourself, but you want to belong with a group of people, but you're also independent and different, but also with everybody all the time, forever the same.
Yep.
I want to go right to which characters you are or which famous people you are.
Right into, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right. I'll let you go first then because you were very excited about that.
I'm excited because it's so great. Here's the first one. First up, Martin Luther King.
There you go.
Second, Nelson Mandela. Third, Mother Teresa. Fourth, Alanis Morissette. So basically, I'm going to write a book and everyone can just follow what I do. Oh, Jimmy Carter's next. Nicole Kidman. Some guy I haven't heard of, Morgan Freeman, and Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Oh, and then House. Like the Dr. House.
I'm actually surprised with Jon Snow. Like, yeah, he wants to cooperate people, but one of the things I always really liked about Jon Snow was he always told the truth. And he always said how, like, this is the right thing to do. And he ended up I don't want to spoil it anymore, but
I've never seen it. Okay,
well, bad things happen to him.
Yeah.
But he still tells, like, he tells it how it is. He always tells the truth. He doesn't quote unquote play the Game of Thrones where people are lying and cheating and doing their, talking about this guy and then secretly they're doing this. Like, he doesn't do any of that. Huh. He just straight up tells the truth. And he knows, you could see in his face, he's like, they're going to attack me for saying this, but he knows, like, this is the right thing to do. Cause that's like, he wants to be, it's the honorable thing to do.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like
and
me.
He sees honor as like the highest value. So that's why I'm kind of surprised about that. But but since he does that, people follow him and he does cooperate with people and he does take everyone's mind, everything into consideration.
So maybe it's that.
So in a way he does. Yeah.
I just like how the first three are like religious, like icons. And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
I sound like a messiah.
Yeah. I sound like I could, help the civil rights movement. Change the world.
I love Alanis Morissette. All right, keep going. Your turn.
So architects may know. I don't know who Samantha Power is.
Same. I think she's Austin Powers' wife.
She's probably in Fox News or something. Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Colin Powell.
Okay.
Elon Musk.
There you go. Look, it gives me two looks.
Ready? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, that thing's messed up. How did I not get that? No, that's true.
But then just to kind of do the opposite, I got Vladimir Putin. So I got that going on.
I got that going for me.
How do you go from Mr. Universe to
you don't think
Russia?
You think Arnold Schwarzenegger got there by not conquering Russia?
If I could do this, I could. I got Michelle Obama.
There you go.
Friedrich Nietzsche.
There you go.
Oh, your favorite, Walter White, Heisenberg.
This thing. Well, this makes sense, honestly. With the specific things, I just think of Bill Burr's bit on Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah.
Of just nothing but net, eyes on the prize. This is how you do it.
Yeah. Peter Baelish, which is Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. You know who that is.
Okay.
He was actually another Game of Thrones. One of my favorite characters was Tywin Lannister. I just thought he was a boss. So I'm pretty glad I got that. Gandalf the Grey. Big fan of Gandalf. I got a pop of him.
I got the people from Lord of the Rings. I got Aragorn and Galadriel from Lord of the Rings.
I got Katniss Evergreen from Hunger Games.
There you go. Is it Evergreen?
Yeah, Evergreen, right?
Everdeen.
Everdeen. I'm sorry. And then these people, I don't know who they are.
Oh, here we go. Most important one. Rose from Titanic.
Oh, well, clearly.
Not obviously.
You know, when it comes to...
I would never treat Leo the way she treated Leo.
Yeah. I mean, when you pull up in your car, I just saw a hand smack it. And I was like, what's going on in there?
I do that every time. It's my thing.
It's your thing.
It's just a little thing I do.
There's a lot of stuff about this, so I don't want to just sit here and just be reading a lecture. The stuff in bold, I guess.
Read the bold strengths.
Yes.
And the
There we
bold
go.
weaknesses. And that's
Okay.
it.
So for the architect, my strengths and weaknesses. So here's my strengths. Quick, imaginative, and strategic mind.
Okay.
High self-confidence. Independent and decisive. Hardworking and determined. Open-minded. Jack of all trades. And that's all the strengths. Weaknesses. Arrogant. Judgmental. You know, I don't know if I agree with being judgmental. How dare they?
This thing's wrong.
I'm judging
and
them.
I'm right.
I'm right. Overly analytical. I always saw it as a strength. Loathe highly structured environments. Clueless in romance.
Clueless in romance.
I'm clueless in romance.
Okay.
Yeah. This antipathy to rules and tendency to overanalyze and be judgmental, even arrogant, all adds up to a personality type that is often clueless in dating. Having a new relationship last long enough for architects to apply the full force of their analysis on their potential partner's thought processes and behaviors can be challenging. Trying harder in ways that architects know best can only make things worse, but it's unfortunately common for them to simply give up the search. Ironically, this is when they're at their best and most likely to attract a partner. So pretty much they just explained me.
Isn't that crazy?
For all 17 years of my life of just, yeah.
17 years?
I had one girlfriend who became my wife.
Yeah.
17 years of just, like the best. I mean, that I used to tell people all the time, when you're trying to find somebody, stop trying to find them. Mm-hmm. Like, they're
basically saying, if you try at romance, you're going to blow it.
Yeah.
So just do something else.
Yeah. And I did. That's what happened. I tried so hard to try to figure out, and it just wouldn't work because I wasn't being myself. You know, you're trying, okay, what can I do? How can I morph to be like you? That's not a good thing. I'm overthinking it. I'm not picking up signals. When I stopped and I was just, I'm just playing in a band and just playing stuff. That's when I met my wife, and I thought, I'll just go up and talk to her, whatever. Like, I didn't think too much of it. And that's when, next thing you know, we started dating and then we got married. But it's so funny because, like I said, it's like I'm at my best because I'm just being myself. I'm not trying. I don't have an end game. Yeah. I'm just being me. And then the people who find you attractive for being you, those people start coming to you. So that's why I always said, just don't try. In
Jerry, it was funny in Jerry Seinfeld's newest stand-up that came out, stand-up. So the one where he has a lot of flashbacks and things like that. Yeah. That one. When he was talking about first getting into comedy, he goes, and then I don't know what he was like 16, 17, 18 at the time, or 20. He goes, and then you have girls at the show. He goes, and they're at this place. It's the one thing I'm good at. And then I see them there, and I'm in my element, and then it works out there. The only thing I'm good at, and the only time communication I'm good at. I just thought that was funny and related to that, but it was swapped. Yeah, I mean. So my weaknesses are totally on point to being hilarious. My strength, I can see some of them. So my strengths are creative, insightful, inspiring and convincing, decisive, determined and passionate, altruistic. Okay, those are my strengths.
So what do they mean by altruistic?
Advocates have strong beliefs and take the actions that they do not because they are trying to advance themselves, but because they are trying to advance an idea that they truly believe will make the world a better place. Okay. So altruistic, you're trying to make the world a better place.
Okay, got it.
And weaknesses, sensitive, extremely private, perfectionist, always need to have a cause, can burn out easily. That is just like a step process. That's 3 months for me.
Yeah.
All of that happens in 3 months, and then it restarts.
And then you just reboot.
Okay, so I'll burn out, and then I'm sensitive, and then I get extremely private. But then I'm a perfectionist, and then I have a cause for what I'm a perfectionist
You
about.
got to have a goal to be a perfectionist about.
And then I burn out again,
yeah.
and then it restarts.
So master's program.
Yeah.
For the next one, it's personality and emotions.
Okay, let's see. Let me see if I can't pull anything out of this. Let me just read every other sentence. I take the process of finding a partner seriously. Not ones for casual encounters. Take the time necessary to find someone they truly connect with. Once they find that someone, their relationships will reach a level of depth and sincerity that most people can only dream of.
Oh, snap.
Dream of my relationship because it's so much depth. Getting that point can sometimes be a challenge for potential partners, especially they're the impatient type, as advocates are often perfectionist and picky. Yeah. People with this personality type aren't easily talked into something they don't want. And if someone doesn't pick up on that, it's a trespass that is unlikely to be forgiven. Particularly in the early stages of dating. Even worse is if the suitor tries to resort to manipulation or lying, as advocates will see right through it. And if there's anything they have a poor tolerance for in a relationship, it is inauthenticity. That is so okay. So there's been times where like I'll be like dating someone and I'll be like, yeah, it's going well. When, you check off all the things on the list, all the boxes are checked. We're good. We got it. And then I'm just like, but I don't think I like them like at all. and then I'll be like, I don't know, like talking to my mom about this, and she'll be like, well, what if because she knows me as well as this personality does or more. She goes, well, you probably haven't connected with them. Like, have you had any like philosophical conversations or anything about anything like that? I was like, no. She goes, well, that's it. Try it. And then like have a conversation. It's like, it's not getting entertained, that type of conversation. And then it's like, oh, I'm not interested.
I mean, I think something that I'm trying to learn, was this idea of listen to people as if they know something you don't.
Yeah.
So, and I gotta credit Jordan Peterson for that. He's gonna be credited a lot for this stuff because he's a clinical psychologist. I always felt as if I wasn't a very good listener because I like to talk more than to listen. Cause like, yeah, but why would I listen? I already know the rule. I know the answers.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's just this idea of, if you're talking to somebody and you have a goal, like I want to get to the philosophical stuff. I feel like that's where it starts to get into like you go from talking about nothing to, okay, let's get to the philosophy stuff. And they're just like, what? I was just having a conversation.
Well, at that point, it's like it's that either way you look at it, I think it ends up serving its purpose. And the purpose is we're not together. I forced it. And so it didn't work out. But I had to force it. So it shouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Where I'm just like, this has to work. I checked off. That was my problem is I checked off all the boxes that I had in mind. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I got to force it because I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think that, if you're not feeling something in terms, getting more, even just the feeling of just getting more excited to learn about the person.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, oh, like when I first saw her, I knew she was the one, but just kind of like, yeah, I want to learn more about this person. Instead, it was more of just like, okay, let's just see if there's anything there. Aliens, go.
Pop quiz. Oh, you failed.
Yeah,
You should have studied.
There's nothing there. Let's just call it what it is.
I find that back to what you said, unrelated to this, is I feel like it's such a hard thing that I try to work on is listening to listen and to learn something new. I find it very hard to not automatically go to listening to find where I can respond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm so guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at that. Okay. So for me, I'll try to make mine. Architects are belligerently deep and intelligent people, bringing stability and insight into their romantic relationships. They prize honest, open communication, and all factors of the relationship are open to discussion and change. But this must be reciprocated. Architects do what they think is right, and sometimes that comes across as cold. It's important to know that architects don't make these decisions lightly.
Yeah. I can do that. Well,
When
you
my
already
wife
said.
hears this, she'll be like, yep. They spend a tremendous amount of time and energy trying to understand why and how things are wrong, especially if they've devoted themselves to the relationship. And they certainly hurt deeply when things fall apart. And I think, I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of other stuff we can talk about, but that's something I wanted to kind of bring into it. It's this idea of like, if like, let's say like my wife comes to me and says, oh, I have a problem, you know, or she's talking about a problem. I try to find a solution.
How do we fix it?
How do we fix it? And since I'm, like it said, I'm an individualist, my solution to almost every fix it is you got to fix it.
Yeah.
Almost, you know, versus actually listening to the person, understanding them, and just maybe just being there for them. That's all they needed, just to like vent. Like, oh, I got it all out. I don't need a solution. I just need someone to vent. I have a hard time doing that because I'm thinking, okay, you're coming at me with a problem. Here's a solution.
Yeah.
And like I said, with that idea, it's more so it's your fault.
That is such a hard thing. Like, I mean, that's like such a huge point in the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, is you just have to be there for women, for your female spouse. If she comes in with an issue, she's probably not looking for an answer.
Yeah.
And men are you came for an answer and I'm going to find an answer. Even if it's why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you be looking for an answer? You asked me a question.
Yeah.
This ends in an answer. Question, answer. That's how it works.
And also too, part of it is like, especially if it's like, it might come off as cold. What it says here, they do what they think is right, and sometimes that comes across as cold. It's important to know that architects don't make these decisions lightly. So like when I make a decision, sometimes, yeah, it does come off as, no, that's cold, that's mean, because they're thinking about the emotions and the stuff now, where it's like, no, you don't understand. I thought about how would this benefit us today, tomorrow, in 30 years from now.
Yeah.
And it's something like, who's going to do the dishes?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
so now you're so much more invested in it because you have thought about it in the short term, the long term, previously, past time, future tense. And now you're like, well, now if this doesn't go this way, this is an irrational decision because look how much I've thought about it.
yeah.
Look how clearly, again, all the boxes are checked.
Yes.
How do you not see all the boxes checked? Look at 30 years from now, dishes still washed.
Yeah. Like,
I do them every Tuesday at noon.
It's so true. Cause like, I'm not the type of person, it's not that I don't like, I actually like brainstorming stuff, but my thing is like, by the time I tell you what I thought, I've already done the homework.
Yeah.
I don't come at you like, hey, so I'm thinking about this. No. I've already thought about this way before. And one time sometimes I have to hold myself to where like, okay, how deep into this do I reveal to this person? So how do I get to a place where it's like, hey, I'm not a crazy guy who's thrown out 34 thoughts about this. Like, here's just, you know, like, so that's my thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I overthink everything. And by the time I can turn into a phrase, okay, we're going to do this. It's like, oh, well, but did you think about this? Yeah.
I thought about that.
I thought about that if that happened, and I thought about this if that happened.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh.
That is so also me. Like almost anytime if I come to someone with a problem, I'm just looking to tell someone my problem. And then I'll solve it because I said it. All I have to do is almost every problem I've ever had. I mean, there's going to be times when I'll need and get necessary advice from people. But like in this type of scenario, I don't know what to do about X, Y, and Z. I just had to say it. Mm-hmm. That's it. And then half of the after that happens in real life, half of the conversation is me going, yeah, thought about that. Actually, I just figured it out. This is what I'm going to do.
It's like, it's done. I'm giving you the completed homework assignment.
Yeah.
We're not at rough drafts anymore.
Yeah.
It's been done.
I wonder if that's a trait of introverts is of, I'm all in my head and I'll get to a point where I don't have the next answer. And then, so the only logical step is I have to get out of my head and I have to verbalize it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree.
I wonder if that's specifically to introverts.
And I think, yeah, actually, because it makes a lot of sense. Because I feel like with extroverted people, since you're so comfortable in the social, you know, talking to social people, that's how your ideas get formed.
Yeah.
Because you're bouncing them around, then you come up with something. Whereas when you're an introverted person, you're bouncing your head, you're versing yourself.
Yeah.
That's how you're thinking. So by the time you express it, it's because there's nothing else could bounce back and forth in your head, and you just need another brain.
Yeah.
Or if someone comes up to you, hey, I got a problem. Oh, that's been bouncing in my head back and forth forever. Here's what it is. It's done.
Here's hands a card.
Yeah. And the extroverted person's like, well, no, I bounce it to you. It's almost like you're playing.
That's so funny. Yeah.
I feel like extroverts is you're playing tennis with people.
Yeah.
Introverts, you're playing tennis with the wall.
Or you're playing Tetris with a robot.
Yeah. And you're just bouncing it back, and you're just like, yep. And you could say like, well, I think with other people it's beneficial. Like, yeah, but I also think that eventually the guy who's playing with the wall will play with somebody else. But it's very hard because that other person is like, oh no, we're ready to play. It's like, no, I already won.
I'm not ready to play.
The game won. You lose. So now, do you have a friends section?
Yeah. Let's see. I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense already. There is a yearning for authenticity and sincerity in their activities, romantic relationships, and friendships. Unlikely to go for friendships of circumstance, like workplace social circles or chatting up their local baristas, where the only thing they really have in common is the day-to-day familiarity. God, that's true. Rather, advocates seek out people who share their passions, interests, ideologies, people with whom they can explore philosophies and subjects they believe truly meaningful. I'll leave it at that because that's it. I already said that.
Yeah. Architects will keep up with just a few good friends, eschewing larger circles of acquaintances in favor of depth and quality. And how many times have we talked about how, hey, you want to go out to eat? Yeah, great. I'm going to bring Billy, Bobby, Joey, and Susan. And I go, I can't because I don't want to.
I don't want to anymore.
It's and that's how I always kind of felt is I'm more of a quality versus a quantity type person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to be able to have discussions about stuff, be able to talk about things that we can, agree on and like kind of work off each other, because majority of the time I'm spending in my head. So if I'm not spending time in my head, I want it to be with someone who you can actually do that with versus just here's a bunch of people, get a bunch of small talk. It's like, no, I don't want any small talk. I want to get right into the aliens.
Right. I want to get right to, and I feel like I'm so underlying themes. We have nothing actually in common. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Other than something much less definable and much more underlining. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where the juice is.
Yeah. Because we've done YouTube shows, this podcast.
Yeah.
With stand up and all that stuff. It's definitely that I feel like there's definitely a friendship where we have a same goal.
Yeah.
We have a goal. But what's cool about the podcast, about this other stuff is there's a goal, but it's so ambiguous that it's just enjoying spending time together.
Yeah.
One more I wanted to put in, it says, when architects are in their comfort zone among people they know and respect, architects have no trouble relaxing and enjoying themselves. Their sarcasm and dark humor are not for the faint of heart, nor for those who struggle to read between the lines, but they make for fantastic storytelling among those who can keep up.
Look at that.
This more or less limits their pool of friends to fellow analysts and diplomatic types, as observant types preference for more grounded and straightforward communication. It's true though. Like it's so much better when I have like you and I, like we know each other very well to where like when if I do a joke or I say something, you don't think, oh my gosh, Vince is a horrible person. You go, oh, Vince is trying to make me laugh.
Right.
It's hard to do that when you are you're talking to a whole bunch of people and maybe some people only know you so well.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like. I like when you can have your one-on-one time, you can have your friends and do all that type of stuff. Because then you start getting really deep versus just, well, I don't need people to like me.
Yeah.
And everybody says that.
A lot of this totally sounds cliche. I get it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. A lot of this, that's a thing. But at the same time, it's like, it's not so much I don't care if people don't like me or not. It's that I care about really getting to know somebody or getting to exchange my ideas with somebody versus just the whole group. We're on a surface level because that's as far as you can go. Keep it like that, and I don't know if there's a lot of people that say, well, I like that. It's just, they see different values of, you want to have a bunch of people. You feel like a big community. You feel like a nice group. You like that. So there is a bunch of good stuff for that. But when I read this, I go, yeah, how come no? Oh, that's why no one thinks like I do. Like not everyone is like that.
Yeah.
Parenthood.
I pulled that up.
So neither of us are parents.
Nope.
But I think that this might give a good idea of what our parenting like.
Okay, let's see. Much as their friendships, advocates will tend to look at their relationships with their children as opportunities to learn and grow with someone they care about.
You and your mom are very much alike then.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You're both very like, well, obviously it's your mom, so she cares much about you, but like you guys are able to have a conversation where you're kind of talked as more of like equals and getting to understand one another versus parent, child. Why aren't things clean? And it could be because you're an adult now.
I mean, that's part of it, but like, I mean, I've said it to my parents before is like, the only reason I'm still hanging out with you guys is because I like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I like you. You did a good job, but you're done. Just know that I'm not by any means against my will hanging out with you. I enjoy your company. We can keep hanging out.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but like what I'm hearing with like the parenting, the romantic relationships, the friendships, and everything so far, at least that we have in common, is from the introverted side, introverted people seem to, whether it's their friendships, relationships, whatever, looking for someone they can basically bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
I got sick of doing it by myself. So I either had to get married, get the friends that'll do it, or make a person who I can continue to bounce these ideas off of that I know is, you know, I did that. I raised them or made sure I vetted them to make sure they got
my ideas will live on.
Yeah, they got a good tennis racket. They can keep hitting it back to me.
Yeah.
It just sounds like so selfish. Like this is what introverts are. There's like, I don't want new people. I want more of me.
How do we get more of me in the world? I don't even know if I want to go because I feel like you nailed it. It says right here, you know, being so heavily invested in rational thought, logic, and analyzing cause and effect, we're often unprepared for dealing with someone who hasn't developed these same abilities, who they simply can't walk away from. So it's like, oh, you don't like for a regular person, I don't have to care. I can just move on.
Yeah.
And find my person that I like. You can't do that with your kid.
Yeah.
And your kid is at, you know, level 1 years old.
Yeah.
And you're at a higher level, hopefully, because you're an adult.
Hopefully.
So you're thinking like, why don't you think like this? But really, I feel like one thing that I have to do is if I have kids, have a step back and go, okay, well, when I was a kid, how did I learn to get to my point versus like, how come they don't know this already?
Right.
How come you don't know calculus already? Which is like a very oversimplified idea, but it's
that's
like,
basically what it's,
just do the thing. If you don't do the thing, the bad things will happen.
Just keep getting raised.
But it's like, well, Vince, how did you think of that? Well, I overthought it. Okay. So that's a process. You're not giving the kid the process,
yeah.
you know, and that's funny because actually it says right here, architect parents don't just tell their children what to do, though. They prompt them, make them use their own minds so they can arrive at the same conclusions or better ones still. So I take that as like, okay, that's actually somewhat good advice of having them figure out the process versus just giving them the answer. Or at the same time, not giving them an answer at all and being just so affectionate of like, oh no, you know, I'm here for you, whatever. It's like, no, figure this out.
I think that works in steps. I think that's a necessary steps that you'll probably have to take but I think it's less exaggerated than they put it, is basically you'll probably forget about this quiz and then you'll probably find whenever they start talking or this starts becoming applicable, let's say year 1 where you go, okay, why doesn't he think, oh, right. He's on level 1. Okay. What do I got to do so that he's not on level 1?
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll realize that that's a barrier is the having to remember that the baby is on level 1, the toddler, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but because you're these other factors of an archetype, you go, okay, what steps do I have to take to give the steps to the child?
Now you're speaking my language.
See?
Yeah. Starting to use, you're analyzing it and you're thinking of it.
Yeah.
As a way to help improve, which at the same time, sometimes it's just, you just got to be there. You just got to love them. And I'm just like, I'll just do the thing.
But what's that going to do? What's loving them ever done? Nobody.
I was never hugged. You don't need love. But I like love. Love is good. Love is great.
Love is dope.
Love is patient. Love is kind.
Oh my God. Corinthians 13.
Corinthians 13. All right. So let's go to career paths.
Advocates are likely to find that most corporate career paths are not designed for them. This doesn't mean that people with the advocate personality type struggle to see viable options, though. In fact, they are likely to face the opposite problem. Many advocates struggle to begin a career early on because they see 10 wildly different paths forward. each with its own intrinsic rewards, alluring, but also heartbreaking because each means abandoning so much else. God, preach to the choir. I was just telling you earlier today, my biggest plight is trying to figure out what to put my energy towards.
Yeah.
Right now in my life.
Yeah.
They need to find meaning in their work and know they're helping and connecting with people. I'll leave it at that. That's enough.
Architects tend to prefer to work alone or at most in small groups where they can maximize their creativity and focus without repeated interruptions from questioning colleagues and meeting happy supervisors.
Did you read this before you accepted your current job? You tell people what to do when you're recording. This is so stupid. I messed up.
Workplace habits. Do you have that?
Tall demands when it comes to a satisfying work environment. Not only does this personality type need to be able to express their creativity and insight, they need to know what they are doing has meaning, that it helps people, leads to personal growth, and all the while is in line with their values, principles, and beliefs. Oftentimes, the best way for advocates to achieve this is to not have to answer to others' rules at all, to be their own boss, neither above nor below anyone else, just directly interacting with people, blah, 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 Nelson Mandela. Thank you.
Titles mean little to architects. Trust and respect are earned, and the architects expect this to be a two-way street, receiving and delivering advice, criticisms, and results. Architects expect their managers to be intelligent enough and strong enough to be able to handle this. Architects make natural leaders, and this shows in their management style. We value innovation and effectiveness more than just about any other quality, and they'll gladly cast aside hierarchy, protocol, and even their own beliefs if they are presented with rational arguments about why things should change. Architects promote freedom and flexibility in the workplace, preferring to engage their subordinates as equals, respecting and rewarding initiative and adopting an attitude of, to the best mind go the responsibilities, directing strategy while more capable hands manage the day-to-day tactics. For me, I don't know if it's been lucky or just what it is, but the people that I report to from ever since I really started getting into this business, I've always seen as mentors.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager and I was working at, the ice rink, that was my boss.
Yeah.
That's the manager. Like, that was someone who was just there to make me miserable. And it could be a youth thing. But when I started getting into my craft and working with people in the field, I never had a quote unquote boss.
Yeah.
I saw them as mentors because they knew things that I didn't know and I wanted to learn from them.
Yeah. And I think that comes out the practical side of it is
Yeah.
It's just practical that, okay, well, this is the time where I would listen because I know I don't know.
And another thing too is it's like, because everyone hates the phrase, why do we do that? Because that's how we've always done it.
Yeah.
So like a lot of my mentors, where if I ask them, why do we do that? They respond and give me reasons. So I'm learning about why, and then I'm able to engage more. And I've been really, really lucky having people that I see as mentors that I report to versus just someone who's just, do this just because. It's like they can I'm learning things as I'm going. And then therefore I respect when they criticize my work, when they say you need to improve on this, is because I'm like, oh, I'm in a learning process versus, like I said, with like the ice rink or when I used to work at a dealership, the boss. When you have that mentality, it's just, I just want to do whatever it takes for them not to yell at me and for them not to fire me. Whereas the position I'm in now, I'm always like, I want to keep growing because I want to keep learning from this person.
Yeah. And with you, I think it might sound like, for specifically your personality type, it might sound like it's contradicting, but I don't think it is. I think it's just you have to, the context has to be set that this is a person to listen to. You know what I mean? This person has earned the respect and earned of being labeled a mentor. And so then certain architects fall away because this is now practical and the overlining theme takes over, which is practicality and how do you get the job done.
Exactly.
Let's wrap it up. Let's go to conclusions.
All right. So the conclusion.
Okay. Few personality types are as sensitive and mysterious as advocates. Thank you. Thank you. Your imagination and empathy make you someone who not only cherishes their integrity and deeply held principles, but unlike many other idealistic types, is also capable of turning those ideals into plans and executing them. You're likely to be easily tripped up in areas where idealism and determination are more of a liability. Absolutely. Whether it is navigating interpersonal conflicts, confronting unpleasant facts, pursuing self-realization, or finding a career path that aligns well with your intricate inner core, you may face numerous challenges that at times can even make you question who you really are. Love a good existential crisis.
And then mine is few personality types are as mysterious, as you said, and controversial as architects. I feel like maybe they say that for all of them. Like we'll put mysterious in there so that way everyone's like, I'm so unique.
Make them feel unique.
But they know me.
And I'm right. I do feel unique right now.
Possessing intellect and strategic thinking that allow them to overcome many challenges and obstacles. Architects have the ability to both develop and implement a plan for everything, including their own personal growth. Now here comes the criticism sandwich. Yet architects can easily be tripped up, once again, same words, in areas where careful and rational thinking is more of a liability than an asset. Whether it is finding or keeping a partner, making friends, reaching dazzling heights on the career ladder, or adapting to the unpredictable, architects need to put in a conscious effort to develop their weaker traits and additional skills. And I hope that after, as I said in the very beginning when I read this, I hope that that was something that I'm starting to do where I'm more like, oh, people don't all think the way I do. Yeah. That's why they're not coming to certain conclusions. Well, how are they thinking? Yeah. And what can I do to kind of learn more about them? So that way, if maybe my solution is the best, I can bring it to them, or maybe that perspective makes me come to an even better conclusion.
Right.
That's the goal. At least that's what I hope. Like I said, I feel like it's not this is you 2000%.
Right.
You know, and like I said, right in the very beginning, they've talked about how the Myers-Briggs stuff really isn't that accurate or this and that. And there's plenty of criticism there. But I think this is a good idea of, well, if you can relate to this, then maybe you got a decent idea, and maybe you can kind of have a decent idea of where to improve on, because we really don't know exactly every single thing about us until we actually start thinking about it and we start implementing and start talking and doing all that stuff. So I feel like this is definitely a good start to do that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like you said, if nothing else, shed some light on who you may be to some degree or another. And if you can, like you said, if nothing more, if you can relate to this and then agree, let's say, with a weakness, then you just identified a weakness, which most people don't do. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of strife in the world is people just being unaware that I have weaknesses, they have weaknesses, and this other human over here has weaknesses.
Yeah.
I felt like we really felt the pressure to wrap that up in a good way.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure there to now what we learned today.
I guess the moral of the story is
be nice to your neighbor.
Be nice to one another. And if you don't agree with me, you're wrong.
Right. That was way too much. I just want all that gone.